The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go! This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hookie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Welcome, one and all, to the iRacing Esports Network for tonight's live broadcast, of course, presented by V8's Online. This is the Porsche Supercup Australasia round 2 of the series from Montreal, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And after an explosive first round at Interlagos, we're ready to take to this public park in the middle of the river in the city of Montreal and see what on earth happens. My name is Reese Gardner, and joining me in the commentary box, Brock Cat-Eye. Brock, it's Porsche time.
Yeah, I'm excited. These cars are really fun to drive, and it's great to be back here tonight on the iRacing Esports Network, and hopefully these guys can put on a show with the slightly different, the split sprint format on tonight, which is a bit different from what we saw last round with that standard format. We've got the 15-minute race first up, a really short all-out sprint for the guys here tonight, and then we have a quick break, and then we're going to do a little spin of the wheel to see whether the top, in between the top 8 and top 15 positions get reversed. Drivers won't know until after the race when that happens, and we won't know, so it'll be really interesting to see. And then we have a 25-minute race coming up next, hopefully with some good battling throughout, as that reverse grid will shake things up a lot, as we've seen in real life and in sim races before.
Yeah, certainly. And that spinny wheel is going to happen live on the broadcast. We will have it up. We will be waiting to see what the outcome is going to be. Interesting little format, and there really is no way of telling who is going to be on pole for race 2. We know the position range, but we don't know the actual position until the moment of truth. But until then, we've got this 15-minute race 1 to look forward to, and 15 minutes around Montreal, that's really not much, considering that a lap around this place is a minute and a half. So, yeah, we're looking at quite a bit of argy-bargy, or the possibility of such. Hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, well, it's there are a good few overtaking spots on this circuit, and like you said, with only 15 minutes, the guys are going to be really looking to take advantage of that. And the top 8 to 15 are going to be, they have to have in the back of their minds that they're probably going to move around a little bit, so they really need to show their pace now, so that their competitors know what they're up against in the next race. And also, now we're in round 2, the guys have had a chance to race against each other for the most part. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names here from round 1, and that means hopefully they can start to understand each other and how they react to certain moves, and we'll start to see that development happening like we have seen in the what was formerly the OSC and now SSA, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I think hopefully we see some great battling. We did see that in the GT3 last week, and I'm really hoping we see that here again, particularly with these cars that are fairly well equal and don't have many setup options. So these guys, it's a lot of driver skill comes into it with these Porsche Supercup cars.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we've harped on about this quite a bit in past broadcasts of the Porsches on V8 Online. The actual mechanical layout of the cars plays a big part too. You got to think about a circuit like Montreal. It's got a high average speed, a long straight, but it's also got a couple of tight hairpins, and it is full of chicanes, which really require you to manage the momentum of your car as it goes through the corner. And with that Porsche flat 6 hanging out past the rear axle, it becomes very hard to keep a car under a reasonable level of control around a place like this. I'm noticing coming through the last chicane, we've got quite a few people bouncing off those anti-cuts at the last chicane, and they're ending up having trouble keeping that rear end in check and getting into the wall of champions. Will we see that during the race? Possibly, especially if someone tries to put a move on someone into the final turns.
Yeah, I think there's very little doubt in my mind that we will see that. These Porsches are great at riding curves, but like you said, because of that rear engine configuration, it's very heavy in the back end. So they hit those curves and the car comes down, and we all know the wall of champions, it can suck people in, and you hit it and you're done. So it'll be really interesting to see, and the big wing on the back of these cars really makes a difference with downforce and straight line speed. So if you damage that, even with a slight tap of the wall, you're really disadvantaging yourself compared to all your competitors around you that you'd think have a straight car throughout the race.
Yeah, certainly. That wing on the Porsche always comes into play somehow. It's it's quite huge, and a little bit of oversteer can easily ruin your night around a track like this where the walls are so close. Well, we're coming up to the end of the practice session now. Just got 20 seconds to go on the clock before we grid up for this first one. And I'll tell you what, coming into this race session, it's looking like the race for Michael Healy, Zach Hanlon, Gary Hamilton, and Forzan El Nabi. They're going to be your top 4. And it's, well, they've certainly shown their worth in these cars in the past. We'll see what they can do right here, right now, in this very cold weather, or a very overcast, rather, at Montreal.
Yeah, it's about a 28-degree track temp, so it's pretty, it's fairly warm out there. But yeah, like you said, overcast for us. So we'll run through the grid quickly here. So we've got in first place Michael Healy, Zach Hanlon in second, Gary Hamilton in third, Forzan El Nabi is fourth, Brett Kananzi fifth, Barden Reed in sixth, Dylan Shepherd seventh, Scott Solosky in eighth, Hayden Dodman ninth, and rounding out the top 10 here tonight is Adam Hyland.
Scott Larnack is going to line up in 11th place with Joshua Anderson in 12th. Mitch McLeod in 13th with Mark McDonald in 14th. Jordan McDonald makes it a 3 Mc to round out the top 15 with Jimmy Ball, Adam Briggs, David Haynes, Cameron Dance, and Zach Radatz completing your top 20.
And then we have in 21st, Steve Jansen, Cody Bircher, Daryl Carter, Scotty Harris, Scotty McQueen, 2 Scotties there, rounding out the top 25. Luca Giacomin in 26th, Mark Rayner 27th, Brian Jerrick 28th, Grant Hines in 29th, and David Jellings in 30th as we go to the start of the race.
Yes, indeed. The revs are going to be rising. Michael Healy on pole. They are away. Not the best start from Zach Hanlon on that front row. It's going to leave him open to... oh, goodness me, actually. He's going to try and defend. No! He's going to spin in front of the entire field! And that has really resulted in a huge pile-up coming out of the first turn. Mark McDonald involved as well. Everyone just trying to find space in the midst of all of that chaos. Oh, and we've got more... oh, goodness me. The crash is continuing around the first part of the first lap. I really... I don't know what to say about that one, Brock. The caution flag is out.
Yeah, we have a 15-minute race here. Caution isn't really what we needed. So, yeah, that was just, I guess, that 15-minute sprint mentality. I'm just having a squeeze back at the replay here at the moment, but it looks like that's just taken over. Hanlon did just make a very simple mistake there. Just locked the rears by the looks of it, and then it's all gone wrong from there. The track's being jammed up. Cars were getting air and being hit all over the shop, and then yeah, we've just ended up with half the track being jammed and damaged cars everywhere, unfortunately. So now we've got a safety car period and have to see how many cars are actually left standing after all of that.
Yes, indeed, and it's difficult to pick apart just all of the individual incidents that happened there. It just looks to me like Scott Larnack and Josh Anderson came together. And Larnack was in the wall, and I think that contributed quite a bit. Larnack, of course, a complete passenger, ended up getting collected by Jordan McDonald, who in turn was collected by quite a few cars in the mid to rear of the field, and goodness me, you just see a bunch of cars on their roofs, and I think a few retirements out of that one. But currently leading the race, as the field have actually completed lap 1, Michael Healy is maintaining that lead, and Gary Hamilton has found his way up into 2nd place, Dylan Shepherd in 3rd.
Yeah, so I think quite a few of the front guys got out of there fairly unscathed. Some of them have a little bit of damage, but Hanlon spun around and kept going, but it was the eventual effect of him blocking up the track, going slower than what everyone else was through turn 1 and 2 there, is what caused the trouble further back in the pack by the looks of it. So these front guys, a few of them have gotten out of there fairly okay, but it's really that mid to back of the pack that's been hit hard by this. So we're just watching here as quite a few drivers are now being sent to the back of the pack there as they all go back into pit lane. Unfortunately, we've got guys limping back home on the back straight, crabbing their way down to try and get back to pit lane.
Yeah, that is a real shame. Who have we got making their way down there? It's quite a few beat up Porsches from that opening incident. One person that we didn't mention was Bo Albert. He ended up starting from the back of the grid, and he was hoping to get himself in or near the top 15. He would have had to pass 4 cars a lap in order to do that, but Well, I don't think he has much chance of finishing up the order at all. Scott Larnack just behind him with Barden Reed, I'm noticing, just coming into the pits. And that's certainly not the way you'd want to see Barden in his car, starting in 6th place and finding himself now outside the top 40.
Yeah, unfortunately, and just touching on Bo again, his car looks very, very badly damaged. He's made up 10 spots, but it looks like the Hulk's come along and just crunched the front of his Porsche up. So, yeah, looking through the field here, there's damage on many cars ranging from about 10th back in the field. So
I tell you what, actually, Brock, one person that we should look out for is Forza El Nabi. He's got quite a bit of damage on the front of his car, and he's up in 5th. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect him.
yeah, well, if you look behind him there, you got Scott Solosky has 0 damage, and then Mitch McLeod behind him has 0 damage as well. So potentially on the straights, this could just be a cakewalk for those guys. They'll just be able to get straight around El Nabi. Equally, El Nabi could be a bit of a cork in the bottle when it comes to guys like Solosky and McLeod actually catching up to the likes of Shepherd, Cananzi, Hamilton, and Healy up in front, because all 4 of those guys don't have any damage at all. So they're right now still pretty sweet to finish this race off, which we only have 10 minutes left in now. And El Nabi could prove to be the cork in the bottle, although throughout this middle section, provided his steering isn't too damaged, he's a very spirited racer, as we've said before, so he will do everything he can to try and maintain that position in 5th place there.
Yes, indeed. Well, the pressure is going to be on very, very soon, because they are now past the halfway point around this lap, and the lights are out on the iRacing roof pace car, and they'll be getting ready to race again very, very soon. Issue is, they're going to have basically no time to do it in. Remember, this race is only 15 minutes long. The time elapsed is coming up to 7 minutes, and a note from race control, that entire first part of the first lap from turns 1, 2, and 3 will be investigated post-race. Obviously, quite a bit for race control to pick apart, and I don't blame them for postponing that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unfold tonight. We've still got the rest of this race to go, and I think that they are doing well to focus on what's going on right now. And yeah, they've certainly got a lot to pick through there with who's crashed into who and what caused what and everything. So we'll leave that to them. They've got the brains for it, but they're coming onto the back straight now and starting to form up in a single line here as we get ready to rock and roll for these last what timing's telling me is going to be 4 to 5 laps and about 8.5 minutes left. So it's we haven't got much longer left here, and it's going to be an all-out sprint as if it wasn't already. Now these guys are really going to be playing for keeps, and hopefully we can get through this next lap clean.
Yeah, hopefully so. Certainly got my fingers crossed and touching wood. Michael Healy hanging back quite a bit from the pace car as the virtual driver is going to bring that car into the pits, and now Michael Healy's going to be controlling the field. They'll be bunching up behind him. Single file rolling start for this one. Hopefully it is a little bit cleaner. Healy is away. Fairly standard restart from him as the green flag flies, and it's quite a gap back there to Gary Hamilton. Let's look back further in the field to see how the rest of the guys handle it. We've still got guys coming through.
Oh, we've got a car around turn 1, turn 2 here. That's Cananzi's been spun around there. He's out of the way of everyone, so it looks like he's just going to continue in there. But he's been spun out of 3rd position there by Dylan Shepherd, I think it was.
Yes, and we got an incident developing up the back. I think Phil Gadd just ran wide in turn 2. We got a car around. That's Barden Reed not having a good night at all. Just trying to find his way back up there along with Jordan McDonnell. So, oh dear, another car spun. Who is that? That is Cohen Adard. Goodness me. I mean, it gets to a point where I won't say it. McLeod and Hanlon battling side by side here up the front of the field. And they're just coming up into the hairpin. So McLeod is going to try and defend that inside line there from Hanlon, but Hanlon getting a much better exit, actually getting onto the grass. There's another car with problems. That's Shepherd going slow. He's going to get passed by Cameron Dance. That battle between Hanlon and McLeod is still not over. Hanlon trying his best to find a space in amongst all of this madness. But Michael Healy leading the way, coming on to lap 5, sorry.
Yeah, and sorry, just to point out there as well, Zach Hanlon had a massive moment nearly spinning the car around there. He looks like he's battling with that damage pretty hard here and finding it hard to keep cars behind him as that straight line speed is probably suffering a little bit, as he looks like to have a gaggle of OPR cars behind him as well, hunting him down. So for the time being, he's now fallen behind those Torque Inc cars, and at the front of the field, it's relatively spread out at the moment. El Navi's in third. Solowski has now come up to fourth place after that battling there.
Yes, indeed. It's worked out quite well for Solowski there. And I'm going to just compare lap times quickly between himself and El Navi. It looks like El Navi is a little bit faster, but keep a lookout for Gary Hamilton and Michael Healy up ahead. They're actually running slightly slower. That lack of draft will not be helping them very much. So we could see a proper top 4 battle.
Sorry, just looking back in the pack here, we've got Josh Anderson has just dropped back a little bit here, and we've got Cam Dance engaged in battle here with the number 35 of Cody Bircher as they're coming down into the hairpin now, back out onto the back straight here. He was right up close behind him, and then Josh Anderson slowed up a bit, and that ruined his run a little bit into that hairpin, but he's going to try and range back up there. He has got a bit of damage compared to the car in front of him, so it's going to make it hard for him to try and catch him on this straight. The gap has gotten a bit bigger there, but it was very close with Josh Anderson slowing down there. It was nearly an accident as he's nearly into the wall there as well. He got a lot of air off for those curbs in that last chicane. He's really pushing hard here with only 3 laps to go now.
Yeah, certainly. Noticing Dylan Shepherd coming up alongside. That's Luca Giacomin, but Giacomin yields. So now this whole battle pack just snaking its way around Montreal, and Shepherd spun. Oh no, that looked to me just like very basic, getting on the throttle a little too soon, and the car just went around on him. So not a good night for any of these guys, as Scotty Harris is around as well.
Yeah, this race 1 is not going too well for these guys. Canada is not being nice to them. So it just looks like potentially what you were saying earlier, that issue with that rear engine, the car just wants to spin, particularly for those guys that already have damage out there at the moment. It's not making life easy for them.
No, certainly not. Update on the leaders, Michael Healy and Gary Hamilton holding station, and Forzan El Nabi keeping them honest as well, as is Scott Kozlowski. Tell you what, Mitch McLeod and Hayden Dodman are actually starting to close up on each other a little bit. McLeod carrying some damage to his rear wing, so that may affect his straight line speed, as Luca Giacomin is now around.
The car on their roof, number 22.
Oh, that's Mark Rayner. Goodness me, how did that happen? Oh, looks like there was contact with David Haynes.
Yeah, it looks like he's checked up a little bit, and Haynes has come through there. He's checked up because of Giacomin, and Haynes has come through at full speed, and yeah, that's just iRacing physics at work there, and just flipped him onto his roof, and Giacomin's gone around as well. So yeah, this might be a race to write off in the history books a little bit, I think.
Yeah, this is not going very well for many drivers throughout the field, just getting caught out by the track, by the weather conditions, and by each other. It's a far cry from what we saw at the Sprint Series Australasia round last week at the same track. We were actually very pleasantly surprised by the quality of the racing there, but it seems like things have taken a bit of a nosedive here, and I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think the format's the issue. It's just at the start, that small mistake by Hanlon really set it off, and I don't know whether Hanlon's to blame for it because he was pushing too hard or everyone else was pushing too hard. There's a lot to digest in that incident. If we had an after-race program, I'm sure we could do it. But yeah, hopefully we see something a little bit better in the 25-minute race coming up. Looking back through the field here, we've got Luca Giacomin and Scotty Harris are actually quite close to each other coming into the hairpin here with Zach Radich just up the road. Scotty has a little bit of a look into the hairpin, but he's going to getting back in there behind there as the Benmax car behind him actually gave him a little tap there. That was Daryl Carter, and now we've got Matt Morris trying to range up alongside him here. This could be an interesting battle coming down into the final chicane coming up ahead here. He's going to try to stay right in behind Daryl Carter. Scotty Harris does have that damage, which makes him a little bit vulnerable. Morris is having a little look, probably trying to play the game there to try and get in Carter's mirrors and make him a little bit nervous. And he got a great run there, Morris. Carter's gone very wide there as well. Morris is going to try, but has not got the speed. And we're on the last lap now, everyone. So this is about a minute to go in the race and last lap.
Yep, and Matt Morris actually got a slowdown out of the last chicane, so he had to really check up, and it looks like he's still having to slow down, letting Dylan Shepherd by, so that's a really bad turnout for Morris as we go to the battle for second. Gary Hamilton falling into the clutches here of Forzan El Nabi, so it's definitely on here in the final couple of laps, and El Nabi, the big challenge for him here is to get that pass done not only, but to make it cleanly as well. He's certainly using that car to its full capability. Got to be careful on the brakes, though, because the brakes on this car are very sensitive, and it looks like El Nabi actually slowed down a little bit there. I wonder if he got a cut track penalty. He's actually going wide in the hairpin, so I think that may be pursued over for Mr. El Nabi.
Yeah, he certainly took a lot of that last chicane that they came through then and just about missed the curb altogether. It looks like he's back up to full pace now though, and just to take note of El Nabi and how fast he is going, he's got the fastest lap of the race by about 5/10 of a second, 4 or 5/10 of a second, so very impressive form there. And
yes, indeed.
Solosky has tried his hardest to try and catch up there, and Hamilton and Healy having a little dice there, and now we've got...
He's crossed the line, dude. The race is over. He's won.
Yeah, so Healy's come home in first. They were weaving back and forth there on that final run to the checkered flag there for some reason. Maybe just a little bit of fun at the end of that race.
Yes, indeed. Well, that brings home a very valuable victory for Michael Healy, I think. Of course, he is driving with One Performance Racing in this championship, usually a Trans-Tasman Racing driver, but there we go. He'll certainly be 100% happy with that.
Yeah, well, that was a lights the flag victory for him, so he didn't have to fight too hard in the end. Hamilton was 2/10 behind him, but in the end, Healy could just keep that win. El Nabi third from 4th place. Solosky came 4th from 8th place in the end, so that was a good run for him. Mitchell McLeod behind him in 5th place from 13th. So some of these guys have taken advantage of that crash at the start. They managed to work their way through and come up quite high. Be interesting to see with the reverse grid exactly where they get to. Hayden Donovan in 6th, Hanlon dropped back to 7th, Cody Bircher up 14 spots from 22nd in 8th, Jimmy Ball in 9th, and then Joshua Anderson in 10th spot there.
Yep, Cameron Dance making it up from 19th to 11th, David Haynes finishing in 12th, Ryan Jerrick making a monumental push from 28th up to 13th, Zach Raditz finishing in 14th with Luca Jackaman in 15th, Daryl Carter in 16th place. Dylan Shepherd, a bit of a round to forget for him, started 7th. He's going to come home in 17th. Matt Morris in 18th position. Mark McDonald in 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Scotty Harris.
And then we have Richard Hunter in 21st, having also made up 14 spots from 35th. Our own Bo Albert in 22nd, made up 24 positions to get there from 46th spot. Adam Hyland in 23rd, Grant Hines 24th, Barden Reed after that really unfortunate accident at the start ended up in 25th. 26th is Harry Inwood, 27th, Jason Cossey, 28th, Daniel Aish, and a good run for him as well, making up a solid lot of positions there. Scott Larnack 29th and Alex Court in the 30th, excuse me.
Running through the rest of your field, we got David Coleman and Cohen Attard, both of them making up positions from their starting positions. Justin Strickland, a bit of a quiet race for him, finishing in 33rd. David Mulhall in 34th position. And then we come to our off the lead lap finishes. Scotty McQueen, Jordan McDonnell, Scott Wasson, Blake Delaney, Steve Jansen. And then we're starting to get in our retirements now. Reese Keane, Brett Cananzi. What a shame for him. Started in 5th. He's going to have to start race 2 from 41st position. Mark Rayner, Wayne Hewitt, Phil Gadd, David Jellings, and Adam Briggs. Your field, Briggs did not take to the start. So Certainly an interesting first race, but we got the spinning wheel now. We'll be able to see what position we get flipped. The wheel is now spinning. Will it be 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th? It's going to be the top 15 reversed for race 2, so that's certainly going to be fantastic for Luca Giacomin. He is going to be starting race 2 on pole.
Well, that's good news for him. I guess he's not feeling so bad about being spun around now. So Luca actually made up 11 spots on his starting position to get to 15th. And yeah, well, now he'll be starting from pole. And Michael Healy, after starting on pole and finishing first, down to 15th. So this is going to be a really interesting race, I think. Some of those faster guys now back in the pack have to work their way through. And we've seen that some drivers can be really fast out front, but when they're back in the pack, they struggle a bit more to get through and actually get to the front. So hopefully we see a different winner here and a very mixed up podium and top 5 next race.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully so. We're going to go on a very quick break here on the iRacing Esports Network. You're watching the V8s Online Porsche Supercup Australasia from Montreal. We'll be back in a bit.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Cronky! Down to the inside, and Hershey's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Welcome back, one and all, to the iRacing Esports Network. We are V8s Online, and this is the Porsche Supercup Australasia. My name is Reese Gardner, and Brock Cat-Eye alongside me once again. Brock, race one, it was certainly not the finest display we've seen from this field of drivers, but race two, a reverse top 15, there's certainly potential to see a good one here.
Yeah, we can wipe race one from our mind now. It wasn't great, but let's focus ahead on race two. Like you said, reverse top 15. We do have some great drivers in this field. Some of them race in the GT3 series as well with us, and I feel like we can have a great race here. Like I said, these cars are awesome. The top 15 is going to shake things up a bit. Top 15 reverse grid, and that just means that hopefully we see a little bit more battling throughout the pack. I mentioned earlier there are quite a few overtaking spots on this track, some heavy braking zones, some spots where people can throw their car down there and hope that it sticks. And if the guys are all respectful out there, we should see some awesome racing. And the race is 10 minutes longer than the last one as well. So hopefully with no safety car, we can just get some all-out brawling out there on the track.
Yeah, certainly. All-out clean brawling. I think we should we should clarify because yeah, I mean, Montreal, it's an excellent racetrack. It's got everything that you need for exciting racing. Just those walls are very close, and if you want to pull a move on someone, you need to plan it carefully. You can't just throw one up the inside and think, oh, you know, he'll just go into the runoff area. There's not much runoff area to speak of around here. So the drivers do have to keep their heads screwed on, be careful, and hopefully they will put on a good show for everybody tonight. Well, Luca Giacomin starting from pole position after finishing 15th in race one. He's certainly got a bit of pressure on for him now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, you know, like we said earlier, he had no idea where he'd be starting. Nobody in that top 15 did, because we didn't even know what that number was going to be. So Luca is a very good racer. We've seen him in quite a few different series. He was in a rallycross series earlier this year and did very, very well. He is great in quite a few cars with ERT there. And I think we could see some good things from him here. And I'll be interested to see the pecking order as it comes out when we go to read out the grid a bit later on. Something to note in this race, the track is about 5 degrees hotter at its base temperature. It's 32 degrees, so the guys are going to be slipping a little bit more underneath them and may have to just adjust some pressures and that sort of thing to make sure that the cars are feeling nice for this race for the 25 minutes coming up.
Yeah, certainly. Also got to mention that the sun is out for this one. It's still mostly cloudy, but not overcast. So the sun is hitting the track in places. We'll be heating it up nicely. And those tires, once they get up to operating temperature, they'll be getting very slippery. So, as you said, Brock, the drivers do have to be very careful out there, especially over those curbs. We saw those anti-cuts at the last chicane and at a couple of other chicanes around here. They certainly don't discriminate when it comes to pounding cars off. And I tell you what, coming through that final chicane to the Wall of Champions, it's certainly not one for the weak of heart.
No, that's for sure. And we saw quite a few people go very, very wide there and nearly tap the wall, trying to get runs and trying to cut that corner as much as possible so they could straight line the next one so that they can get a great run onto that front straight there. But they do have to be careful. As I'm just watching now, Harry Inwood actually tapped the Wall of Champions and damaged his rear wing. And we talked about that in the last race, that rear wing, you get a kink in it and your straight line speed's ruined. So interesting to watch. And just looking at some of the times coming in here, they're in the 42s at the moment as they do their first laps. Bo Albert on top of the 42.8. We saw he had some pretty good pace in that last race as well.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he's going to be starting a bit of a ways down the field. Of course, he was involved in the lap 1 drama in race 1, so he'll certainly be working hard. He is out of opportunities to try and make his way out the field due to the grid swapping that we have as part of this race format, so he's going to have to race his heart out in this one. Hopefully those grip levels will result in something that's a bit more, I don't know, a bit more of a pleasurable experience for the drivers out there. Currently lapping is, whoa, I've just noticed someone demonstrating a bit of a problem with the driving aspects of the Porsche. Jordan McDonnell at the last chicane, you could see he just locked the rear brakes a little bit and was unable to recover it. It's very difficult to do in the Porsche. You know, most race cars, they're very easy to recover, but once the rear end goes in this thing, it certainly goes. So you need to be 100% accurate with your right foot and your steering placement.
Yeah, finesse is the word I'd use with that. With a car like this with its brakes, like I mentioned earlier, it's very touchy on the brakes. You sort of got to treat it a bit like the V8 in the sense in that you have to brake a little bit earlier than what you want to, considering it doesn't have any ABS either. So the brakes are very prone to locking, and put the pressure on as you go in, and that way you're getting the maximum brake usage without locking or anything like that, front or rear, and you're going the fastest you can. So like you said, Jordan just demonstrating one of the interesting parts of this car and the finesse you have to drive it very well and start winning these races and getting those top 5s.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we're coming up to 2.5 minutes to go in the practice session, and Zach Hanlon has just gone to the top of the timesheets, a 36.551. Very impressive lap time from him, especially considering next highest from Gary Hamilton is 0.3 behind. So that's looking like some really good pace there from Mr. Hanlon.
Yeah, well, he started from second in the last race. If it wasn't for that incident, I imagine we would have had some good battling between him and some of the other guys at the front there. So he certainly has the pace, and particularly to adapt to this hot track so quickly, or hotter track, he's doing really well at the moment. Now, he will be starting basically smack bang in the middle of that top 15. He finished 7th, so he's not really going to change too much from where he was, but he's still going to have to work his way back up the field a bit to try and take the win or a podium here in this second race.
Yes, indeed. It's always a bit of a dilemma when you end up finishing in the middle position of an inverted grid, because you don't really gain or lose much of anything, do you? You're basically starting from the same point that you would have otherwise. So Hanlon, the challenge is definitely there. Gary Hamilton, he's a very quick guy, but he'll be starting from 14th. Brett Cananzi just went into second place in the standings in car 666. Now, he started very well in race 1. His grid position was 5th, but he was one of the biggest casualties of the turn 1, lap 1 drama. So he's going to be starting way, way down the field, and he's going to have to work incredibly hard to get any kind of result salvaged out of this one.
Yeah, well, like you said, he does have some good speed, so provided he can put the moves on with a slightly longer race here as well, he might be able to make it quite a ways up the pack and hopefully provide some entertainment for us as well while he's doing it. He did get spun around as well by Dylan Shepherd, I believe it was, and that did send him quite a ways back, unfortunately. But with that speed under him, behind Zach Hanlon, he's the second fastest guy, only a couple of tenths off Zach as well. So if he can exercise that pace in the race, we'll probably see some great overtakes from him as he tries to work his way up and make amends for what happened in race 1.
Yes, indeed. We'll be keeping an eye on car 666 for sure. 15 seconds left in the session, so the drivers will be setting their final preliminary lap times. Barden Reed going in third in car 444. That is another man that we will be watching. He certainly, there was certainly a lot of potential in his race one, but he ended up finishing well outside where he needed to be. So we'll see how he goes. Quite a few drivers to watch here in race 2, but the race has ticked over, and this is the grid as follows. Luka Jackerman starting in first position for Evolution Racing Team. Zach Radatz in second. Ryan Jerrick in third. David Haynes in fourth. Cameron Dance in fifth place. Joshua Anderson in sixth. Jimmy Ball in seventh. Cody Bircher eighth. Zach Hanlon will start from ninth position, and rounding out the top 10 is Torking's Hayden Dodman.
And then in 11th place, also Torkins, Mitchell McLeod, Scott Solosky in 12th, Forzan El Nabi 13th, Gary Hamilton 14th, and our race 1 winner Michael Healy in 15th, Darryl Carter 16th, Dylan Shepherd 17th, Matt Morris in 18th, Mark McDonald in 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Scotty Harris.
Yes, indeed. That is the top 20 for this race, and now we wait for the lights to go up. It's a very short gridding time here for these short races at Montreal. 1 minute is up, and now the drivers will be getting the red lights lighting up on track, the revs rising, a chorus of Porsche flat sixes, and the green flag has flown, and Jackerman did not react well to that one. Have a look at the jump that Cameron Dance has. He's going to try and go up the inside here. What a jump from Dance. An excellent start, but Jackerman holding first position, and the field is looking much better through turns 1 and 2 than they did mere 20 minutes ago. Wait until they make their way through the chicanes here. All up though. How about that jump from Dance?
That was mega from Dance, from 5th up into 2nd place here. And looking at Raditz here, he's gone hard down the inside there of Ryan Jerrick, and that's an incident there.
Yeah.
Raditz was pushing, and we've had Jerrick has been hit again there too, so most of the field looks to be going through. Albert nearly got hit by Jerrick there. Obviously he has some damage, and Albert has made his way up to 12th from 22nd on the grid. What an effort there.
Goodness me.
We're watching the field come through here. Everything looks to be fairly clean after that contact between Raditz and Jerrick. Most people escaped that fairly cleanly there. Dance is now still in 2nd place, up 3 positions. David Haynes in 3rd. Luka up front. We're having a look at Jimmy Ball here, as there seems to be quite a pack behind him. Indeed there is. And they're really battling it out in this mid pack. Good to see though, we've nearly made it a lap here and they're battling hard.
Yes, indeed. Race 1 winner Michael Healy going side by side with Gary Hamilton coming up into the final chicane. Hamilton with a bit of a run, but Healy having the inside line. It looks like Healy's doing a sensible thing and yielding. Meanwhile, just behind them, Zach Hanlon putting a big move there on Matt Morris into the last chicane. 2 different strategies that you see there when battling with another car. Michael Healy still holding off Bo Albert this time, as Jimmy Ball has lost a spot out of all of that, but it's looking like quite the battle pack stretching through the field here. Jimmy Ball and Forzan El Nabi, Ball just stuck on the outside. Scott Solowski though, it looks like he's going to be making a few moves very soon. We'll see how they go through here. Oh, it's so hard to hold the outside around there, Brock.
Yeah, Solowski's doing his best there, but now he's under attack from Hamilton here, and Hamilton's run a little bit wide, has got a bit of oversteer, so he's going to have to drop back, and he holds the pack up a bit, so Solowski's free for the moment, but right behind him, got this big battle brewing between Hamilton, Healy, and Albert. This is mega here. Albert's on the inside coming into this chicane here, and he's going to take that position away from Healy for the time being, as they all file through the chicane here. And looking back as well, we seem to have Darryl Carter embroiled in battle as well, as they go side by side through here with Matt Morris. Morris on the outside. Carter has locked the brakes there. He nearly speared it off. Well done to keep that going. 3 wide. Barden Reed, oh, that was so close to him. Very lucky to get away with that.
Yes,
And we're having a look back at Healy and Albert as they go side by side. Healy's going to drop back in behind Albert here as they're coming down to the final chicane, but Ever looking down his inside, looking to see if he can make a move. He'll get back in behind there as Hanlon comes up, nearly gives Healy a hit there. And Healy, he nearly hits the wall. This is all going on.
It certainly is, and that final chicane certainly shows how difficult this track can be. Hayden Dodman's pulled up the circuit, and Scott Larnack suffering a slowdown. Let's have a look at what happened to Hayden Dodman. That's quite the interesting one there. He got put in the wall. Goodness me. I'm going to go back and take a look at that. That's really under brakes. It looks to me like just trying to go for the outside, but Anderson was definitely committing. As we go back live. Yes, indeed. The pack behind Jimmy Ball. This is from 8th position back.
Yeah, having a look here, these guys, Healy is still in that Altus Esports sandwich at the moment with Albert just up ahead, and we've got Hanlon just behind him, and we're looking at Solosky now as well, who's trying to go down the inside of Jimmy Ball here. Ball seems to be a bit of a cork in the bottle. Solosky taking it very easy, but has got that move done now, and will accelerate away. Ball is going to drop back into the draft here and see what he can do, but Solosky has a bit of time to make up to El Nabi. That will put him up into 8th place from 12th, so +4 on his starting position. Looking behind Ball, he's having a little look here at Solosky. Not really a great overtaking spot unless you're side by side. He's going to drop back in behind there. I think Ball has got some bigger problems to worry about as he has to look behind him here with Hamilton, Albert and Healy, 3 very good steerers, as Hamilton tries to go around the outside and set him up for a move down into turn 1 here. Looks like he's going to try and make it work, because we've got, actually, Albert has gone slow. He's slow on the side of the circuit coming into turn 1 there. Presumably from a slowdown from the previous chicane there, Reese.
Yes, indeed, and a little bit of a ripple effect there between Mark McDonald and Cody Bircher. Oh, goodness me, Adam Hyland almost getting into the wall. Tell you what, Bircher versus McDonald looks to be quite the battle that has ensued from Albert checking up. McDonald is going to go for the move well and truly, as I'm noticing, was that Albert running wide just up ahead of them?
Yeah, he seems to be struggling to get his bearings right, and just on that move by McDonald, great surprise move there, and just threw it down the inside of Bircher, caught him off guard. We've got the 557 Adam Hyland having a look as well on Bircher. This battle pack. And we've got Jackaman has gone back to 3rd as he's battling with Haynes now. That puts Cameron Dance in the lead of race 2 after that brilliant start from 5th place. They're going to go side by side down the back straight here, folks. Sorry to divert from that last battle, but this is for the podium positions. They're still side by side. Jackaman may get the position here. He has got the 3rd line into the chicane. Haynes actually braked a little bit early there, making his time. Jackaman's in the wall!
There we go. Well, it looks to me like Jackaman, he committed to the brakes there, and the car just started going to the left, and there wasn't much he could do there. Neither could Haynes. Haynes did absolutely nothing wrong there. He was just holding his line, staying as far to the left as he could. That's very unfortunate from both of those guys, and Jackaman, I think, is now out.
Yeah, he's gone into the pits, and he looks like he's out. That's really unfortunate there. He was having such a great battle. Now we're having a look at Haynes here as Josh Anderson has actually caught up because of that contact. Very, very close coming into the first of these long chicanes here. Won't be able to make the move. Haynes was quite defensive coming in there, but equally he's struggling a bit with his car, getting quite a bit of oversteer. That contact with Jackman has actually given him quite a bit of damage, particularly on that front right of the car. As we look here, Anderson on my screen is blinking around a little bit, probably making it hard for Haynes to see where he is as well, which is honestly quite frustrating from a driver perspective.
Oh, yeah, and think about from Mitchell McLeod's perspective as well. Anderson just blinked back into existence right in front of him. That's certainly very difficult to deal with. Another driver having technical issues in front of you, and McLeod trying to go for it. They just made contact at the hairpin. So McLeod is going to have to fight back even more now.
Yeah, and El Nabi now is right up behind Anderson here, and McLeod, unfortunately, he has dropped back just a little bit, but that's helped El Nabi pop up there, and Solosky is in the background, he's got Hamilton coming up on him pretty fast. Watching Anderson here come through the chicane. El Nabi is quite close. We saw El Nabi had great pace in that last race, but looking at the timing sheet, Cameron Dance has currently got the fastest lap of the race, but El Nabi is only a matter of hundredths of a second behind him with that fastest lap. And Solowski's under attack here in the background from Gary Hamilton into turn 1. Yeah, he's in trouble here. Hamilton has got some great pace, and he's thrown it up the inside there at turn 2, trying to get the line. He looks like he's going to make it work there, and Solowski's going to give up that 6th position for Gary Hamilton.
Yeah, classic over-under there from Mr. Hamilton. Solowski just overshooting slightly. You could see he was coming back to the inside for the exit of turn 3, but he saw Hamilton coming, let him go. Something has happened to Baden Reed. We're going to go back and check that out because he was making his way up the field very nicely. Oh, goodness me. Actually, quite a big incident happening at turn 3. Rear-end contact from Mark McDonald left Baden Reed spinning. And he got collected by a couple other cars as well. Who is that? That was Bircher and Larnack involved in that too.
Yeah, Hanlon.
Oh, yeah, Zach Hanlon.
He got hit by Baden Reed as he came around the corner there. So that just looks like a bit of sloppiness after the contact in the end there, which is a bit unfortunate. But there go a couple of our drivers that were in that top 10, top 15 position. Yeah, certainly. And Hanlon just stopped in one of the runoff areas at the far end of the circuit. That's a real shame for him. But the battle rages on here for 3rd place now. El Nabi, having made his way past Anderson, is now hot in pursuit of David Haynes, and Anderson and McLeod are back together again. Now, a couple of laps ago, it almost ended in tears. A little bit of contact between them. We'll see how it goes this time. Yeah, well, hopefully there's no red mist descending on these guys and they can battle it out, but El Nabi isn't quite clear of Anderson either, as it looks, the car jumps away from him a little bit there, is a little bit wide through the long right-hander. Anderson is very close, but with a very battered car as well. That's, I'm going to say it's going to be a handful of control at the moment, but he's lost a bit through that technical section, and McLeod isn't really close enough for a move. There's pretty equidistant gaps between the three of them at the moment. But Anderson is still looking very racy, albeit with that damaged car. Yes, indeed. We've got to remember, he was suffering from a couple of technical issues as well. So they may rear their head once again for Anderson, but he's holding station well there in the top 5. Meanwhile, Cameron Dance and David Haynes in their own little world for now, but I'm sure Haynes at least can see El Nabi looming in his mirrors. We've actually just gone past half race time, or very close to it, so these guys are rapidly running out of time to secure their finishing position. Timing is showing us 9 laps to go towards the end of this race. So El Nabi, he's certainly got the pace, but has he got the car? Yeah, well, that's it. And El Nabi, he's pushing very hard at the moment. He's doing some of the fastest laps out there on the circuit. Currently 1.3 seconds a lap faster than Cameron Dance up the front of the field. So he is pushing. He's made up 10 positions as well from his starting position. So a mega effort from him. Yeah, Dance's last lap was actually not as quick as his previous ones by quite some margin. I think he actually made a mistake on that one. So that certainly brought Haynes and El Nabi up into contention once again. But, oh no, Matt Morris around, we're hearing. That's certainly not going to work out very well. He's facing the wrong way on the run contact with Dylan Shepherd. Yeah. I think Morris made some contact with the wall and speared across into Dylan Shepherd there, and they both spun around at the long right-hander. And, well, lucky that no other cars were involved in that. Oh, that was close for Albert as he came through there. Both cars were damaged, and on either side of the road he threaded the needle. That was great driving there to avoid that.
Yeah, certainly was very, very close between them. But now Dylan Shepherd is rapidly losing more positions. He's actually gone side by side with Adam Hyland in the hairpin. Scott Larnack trying to make something of his night along with them as well. Shepherd with some very heavy damage on the front of his car now as Matt Morris retires from the race along with Cohen Attard and Baden Reed. And Shepherd, you can see there is no straight line speed left in that Porsche of his.
No, you can say that again. And Larnack is having a little look here, but he's not going to make it work. It's these guys are going to be fighting out to see who has the least damage and the most straight line speed at this rate. We've got Albert Slow again on the left-hand side.
Yeah,
it looks like he's cut that final chicane.
And Josh Anderson has been removed from the server by race control. I think that might have something to do with the technical issues he was having.
There we go. So now he is out of there, and McLeod has got quite the distance to make up to El Nabi. We're looking at, well, last lap round it was about a second and a half. So he's got quite the distance to make, and El Nabi is flying at the moment. His times that he's doing still bettering the two guys in front of him by at least 2/10. So he's really pushing in these final stages of the race with about 7.5 laps to go.
Indeed he is. We'll be keeping an eye on him, but I want to bring everyone's attention back to Scott Solowski because he is suffering major pressure from Michael Healy. A little bit of a better exit out of that chicane, but you can tell the race one winner and pole sitter is pushing to get himself, at the very least, a top 6 out of this one.
Yeah, Healy hasn't quite had the speed to try and move his way through the pack at the moment, so he's been stuck behind Solowski for a few laps. Hamilton managed to work his way past, but Healy's just been stuck there, and I guess at this point it's about finding the right way to get past without compromising at your position where you are and causing an accident. So Solowski's doing well at the moment to keep him behind, but still 7 laps to go here. It's a matter of, I reckon, when, not if, because Healy will be wanting to get past and looking at their lap times. His fastest lap is a 37.3 and Solowski's is a 37.4, so they're actually quite equal on pace at the moment, so maybe Healy doesn't quite have the pace that he had in race 1 on that slightly cooler track.
Yeah, who knows? That might certainly be a factor, but you can tell that he's certainly pushing for it. Michael Healy, he's certainly one of the more gentleman racy kind of guys. We've just gotten word from our link to race control, just diverting the thought there. Josh Anderson was removed from the server for failing to serve a drive-through, so that's a bit of a no-no as we are focusing on Scott Larnack and Dylan Shepherd side by side, and Larnack through.
Yeah, Shepherd's looking pretty wounded at the moment, so I think that was only a matter of time. And we're back looking at Forzan now. He's right up on the back of the leaders now. And he's gone down the inside of Haynes at the chicane. Sorry, at the hairpin here. They're going to run side by side. Forzan might lose that second position again, but he's going to jump into that slipstream there. Dance is still just up ahead here, but after 6 laps to go, he's going to be feeling threatened right now, and Haynes is defending just slightly. El Nabi's going to have a look, but probably smart not to throw it down the inside there. There are a few overtaking opportunities coming up, and he's really pushing that car, taking the curb as much as he can. Haynes has a bit of damage. Dance has a bit of damage. Even El Nabi has the slightest bit of damage on his car there. So all of these guys have some sort of problem with their car in terms of straight line speed or probably handling. So be interesting to see here. El Nabi has still got some mega pace on him, and Dance doesn't look like he's as fast as what he was.
Yeah, certainly not. The top 3 are well and truly together now, so this is a proper battle for all of the podium positions. And Dance, oh, have a look at Haynes. Big oversteer moment coming out of the chicane. It looked like Dance and Haynes both messed up that chicane in some way, which is certainly bringing the advantage to El Nabi. You can see Dance, I think the pressure's starting to get to him here, just ran wide, and now he's got not a very good run coming onto this straight line section. Haynes in the slipstream. He's all the way over to the right-hand side, just having a little bit of a look. And now they're all bouncing off these curbs, trying to get themselves through cleanly. But Dance, bad run. That's going to allow David Haynes through into the hairpin, unless Cameron Dance can hold the outside. It's possible to get a good run around the outside of the hairpin. El Nabi, he's going to try and go for it. No, contact between El Nabi and Dance, and that is not going to work out well for either of them. Dance leaving El Nabi room there, though.
Yeah, so that wasn't too bad, that contact, just a bit of biff and barge there, but they're side by side. Bo, just diverting quickly, Bo Albert is in the fence as well, but we've got Dance going mega defensive here as he tries to make sure that he can
Haynes
maintain that second.
overshot!
And Haynes, the sparks flying off the car there as well. And now Dance and El Nabi back into this battle for first. This is all on. 5 laps to go here. These guys are playing for keeps. Dance is going mega. He's trying to keep that position from El Nabi. El Nabi's going to try Holland there.
Dance spinning. There we go. He spun there, Cameron Dance, and wow, from first to third, possibly worse. Just looks to me like he's gotten down to 7th now. Just lost the rear end and could not recover it. So that is a podium out of the question for Cameron Dance, and now we have a battle for the top 2.
Yeah, this is getting really exciting at the moment, and Haynes he struggled a little bit through there with a bit of understeer, and that's brought El Nabi right up onto the back of him here. And El Nabi has looked racy this whole entire time. He has been fighting his way through the pack, plus 11 on his starting position to get the win. Would just top off race 2 for him really, really nicely. And Haynes has gotten not as good a run there, so watch El Nabi here. Haynes may go defensive. He's not looking at it right now, but he has gone. He's trying. El Nabi, he's gone middle of the road there. Smart move. El Nabi's gone down the inside, but may not have the traction. No, they're going to go side by side out of the hairpin here, but Haynes has got the better line coming out of there. El Nabi's just going to have to slot back in behind for the time being and try again next lap.
Yes, indeed, and there's not much time left in the race, but the more these guys dice together, the more Mitch McLeod and co will be creeping up on them. We have 4 laps to go at the line. No big move from El Nabi, but Haynes made a mistake, and that's going to allow El Nabi through. So that is one way to take the lead. El Nabi leading this race as they come on to lap 13. Meanwhile, behind them, we've got a battle forming between Gary Hamilton and Scott Solowski. Tell you what, these 2 guys behind Mitch McLeod, they are certainly ramping it up, along with Michael Healy and Cameron Dance, who is trying his best to recover from his spin.
Yeah, shame for Cameron Dance there. Just one little mistake and the car went round and he lost what could have been a potential win for him. But now these cars battling has brought him right back into this battle for what's going to be 3rd place.
Oh, hang on a minute. Haynes, a big dive up the inside of El Nabi. He's not done here. He wants to try and get that lead back.
Yeah, he really pushed it there. He's showing El Nabi that he is here to race and he wants it. Haynes, he had it all laid out in front of him, but El Nabi has different ideas. This is what we want to see from Porsche Supercup. So we're getting a replay of that one here, Reese.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty courageous there from David Haynes. Very assertive from him, saying, I'm not done with you. I'm ready to fight for this victory. And, you know, Haynes, he's a very good driver. He certainly has the potential there, but El Nabi is doing his best now to try and streak away from him down the straight. We'll see what happens, though. There's a lot of fight left in Haynes.
Oh, you can say that again. He wants this as much as El Nabi does, and he's dropped off a little bit here. I've just been having a look back at this battle pack for 3rd place. We've got McLeod, Hamilton, Solowski, Healy, and Dance. That's 3rd through 7th, battling it out hard with 3 laps to go this time round. McLeod is fighting hard to keep this 3rd place for talking. He has shown some serious pace. Hamilton right behind him, looking for that position, and that was very close as well. Now McLeod's going to defend that position. Has done very well to keep it there. Solowski down the inside of Hamilton. They've made contact there at turn 2. Solowski will go through there, and he's had a little slide there. He's going to have to defend hard. This is giving McLeod a bit of a reprieve at the moment, and Solowski defending, white lining it, coming down into turn 3 here. They're fighting it out hard, and now
Hamilton.
Healy and Hamilton are side by side. This is all going off.
Yeah, goodness me, that all started when, you know, I thought for sure Gary Hamilton was going to try and do the over-under, but Solowski had to throw the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons, and now Healy and Dance are side-by-side coming out of the chicane. Healy with the traction, Dance with the inside line, but goodness me, how it can all go wrong for a couple of drivers in a few corners. Oh, Dance.
Yeah, he's going down the inside here, and you can say that again. He's trying to fight his way back up. That'll put him up into 6th place in this race now. And Healy's flashing his lights. He's not happy about going back down to 7th. The tactics are being employed here, guys. He's really trying to distract him. Going back up the road here, Solowski's right on the back of McLeod, and this is for 3rd place here. Solowski started 12th, so he's made up 7 positions, and Hamilton started 14th. and has made up, so he will have made up 9 now. So these guys, they've fought their way through the pack, and now with a couple of laps left to go, are playing for keeps here. And just looking up the road here, Haynes looks to have settled a little bit behind El Nabi, just not quite, doesn't quite have what it takes to bring it up to him with a couple of laps left to go here tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, having a look at McLeod versus Solovsky. McLeod, I think, did not get an optimal exit out of the last chicane, and Solovsky really pressuring him now. Oh, have a look at that mid-corner speed from Kozlowski. Almost a bit of a lunge. But McLeod holding station very well. I think all 5 cars in this pack are going to come together again pretty soon, the way they're all going about it.
Yeah,
2 laps to go.
So McLeod is, he's acting as a bit of a cork in the bottle, but the guys can't get past him. They're battling so much behind him that he just stays up the front there.
Haynes spun.
Haynes spun. So now that puts Solowski on the podium, and now Haynes has dropped back behind Cameron Dance there. So he's now back in 7th place. The leaders are not having a good time tonight, as Jimmy Ball has now come up on the back of him as well.
Yeah, goodness me, it's the tale of who doesn't want to finish second. It's certainly not what Haynes would have wanted. He's gone straight on at that chicane. Obviously, the car has given up on him, so he's going to have to fight with Jimmy Ball for that last position in the top 8. But I tell you what, as Alex Court sits by in the runoff area of the hairpin, letting all of these people go, Mitch McLeod, I don't know if he was expecting to be fighting for 2nd place after all of this.
No, well, McLeod started back in 11th, so he has had a mega effort as well, and Solowski is looking here. We are coming around onto the last lap now. El Nabi will cross the line very shortly to make it the last lap, and McLeod and Solowski are battling hard for this 2nd position. This is going to be a great battle to the end here. Scott is looking there, and Hamilton's got to slow down now, so he's going to go back. He's now gone back to 6th place. So these guys, they just don't want to be in that top 5, do they? It's like a voodoo curse.
Yeah, certainly.
And Solowski is slow.
Oh no. So what happened there? I mean, Cameron Dance is back on the podium. This is crazy in these last few laps.
This is awesome. This is what we love to see from Super Cup. And Canada is a track that is hard to deal with slowdowns. So now Solowski back to dealing with Hamilton, which is where he's been for just about this whole race. But now Dance is back on the podium in 3rd place after going back to 7th with Healy hot on his tail. McLeod, nothing to worry about. Cruise to the end, and he will take 2nd for Torque Inc. And El Nabi out front. Trick Sim Sports, what a drive from him. He has done so well. But looking back in the pack here at these battles, it looks like it's mainly sorted out unless someone decides to go for a last-minute dive down the inside of his hairpin.
Wayne Hewitt just had a major slide out of that chicane. I don't know if that was... Yeah, it looks like he did that on his own there. And that let Dylan Shepard go along with Reese Keane. But that's the only drama that I can find.
Yeah, I gotta say, this race has been awesome. And actually, just having a look back, Healy and Ball are actually running very close to each other here. They're even side by side. These guys are teammates, OPR, and we're looking at El Nabi. We've got El Nabi just about to cross the line here. 1st place for El Nabi, up from 13th position, plus 12. What a run. Congratulations to the Trick Sim Sports driver.
Yes, indeed. El Nabi, a fantastic drive, but it's on for 3rd. Solowski ended up getting 3rd. Dance got a slowdown at the final hurdle, as did Gary Hamilton. So, wow, it all went off there in those last couple of corners. I can't wait to try and dissect that one. Goodness me. And Haynes, full credit to David Haynes for keeping up with those guys after his terrible last couple of laps. Wow. I tell you what, we're getting a replay of that last chicane. It all went off there. Both Dance and Hamilton getting slowdowns, but Dance would end up holding off Hamilton for 7th place.
Dance slowed before that final corner. Dance and Hamilton actually made contact through that last chicane there. Something funny was going on. Dance was slowing down very early there, and Solowski was there to take 3rd place, the podium. After having gotten that slowdown, he ended up coming back through. These guys, they were absolutely fighting for keeps here, and in the end, the All-Star Motorsports driver Scott Solowski has come through for that 3rd place, up 9 positions. I got to say, race 2 has not disappointed here tonight.
No, certainly not. It's had quite a bit of action to talk about for sure. Well, race results up on screen. Forzan El Nabi from 13th to 1st. A fantastic drive from the Trick Sim Sports driver. Mitch McLeod is going to come home in 2nd, and Scott Solowski in 3rd place. 3 brilliant drives from those guys. Jimmy Ball finishing in 4th place, with Michael Healy from 15th to 5th. A very good recovery drive from him. David Haynes seemed like he would be on the podium, but it all went wrong for him in the last couple of laps. Cameron Dance, oh, goodness me, it was a big decline from him in those last few laps after what was a fantastic start. Gary Hamilton in 8th, Scott Larnack from 29th to 9th, a great run from him. But rounding out the 10, Cody Bircher.
And in 11th place, Adam Highland up from 23rd, making up 12 positions there. Mark McDonald in 12th. Luca Giacomin in 13th after starting 1st, not the run he would have been hoping for. Jason Cossey 14th, Scotty McQueen in 15th, up from 34th. Richard Hunter 16th, Dylan Shepherd 17th, Reese Keane in 18th, Wayne Hewitt 19th, and rounding out the top 20 here tonight, Steve Jansen.
Jordan McDonnell is going to come home in 21st position with David Coleman in 22nd, David Mulhall in 23rd, with Blake Delaney coming up from 37th to 24th. Grant Hines, an unfortunate race for him, finishing a position down from where he started. Daniel Aish in 26th, 27th, Daryl Carter, the last car to finish on the lead lap. And rounding out the top 30, we got Ryan Jerrick, Alex Court, and Harry Inwood.
Yes, sorry, there we go. Sorry, my timing was being a bit funny there for me. 31st is Zach Raditz. Bo Albert in 32nd. I think we're into our retirements here as well as we look back at 31st here. So we've got Joss Anderson, Matt Morris, Zach Hanlon, Barden Reed. Unfortunate night for him. He had such great pace, but it just wasn't meant to be in Canada for him. 37th, Cohen Addard, Hayden Dodman, Brett Cananzi, Scotty Harris, and Scott Wasson in 41st, rounding out the field tonight.
Well, it was certainly a dramatic night for sure, but it's time for us to say goodbye. A lot of talking points coming into the 3rd round of the season in a couple weeks' time, but the fun doesn't stop here on the iRacing Esports Network and on V8's Online as well. You'll be able to catch us for our next broadcast on Friday with the Australian Online Supercar Championship from Belle Isle. Then we've got the Oceanic Endurance Championship on Sunday, along with Monday night V8 Supercars, and then Tuesday, Dirt Night on V8's Online. And then a week from now, we got Sprint Series Australasia, moving to the next track in our Wednesday night schedule, Watkins Glen. Monday, Wednesday, and V8 Scops the Sunday after next on the iRacing Esports Network. So, hope to catch you there. You've been watching V8's Online. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me has been Brock Hadai, directing Jay Kennedy and Scott Fountain. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, and we will see you next time.